Hey, how's it? How's it? How's it? How's everybody feeling today? My name's Kilo. This is the Chaos Effect Mind. As always, welcome or welcome back. It is nice to be with you guys again today, I guess is what I want to say. Yeah, it's nice to be with you guys again today. I'm going to do my best to post this as an actual video. I know I've said that the last few times I've recorded, but I'm just having a little trouble finding my setup at home and like the background I like with my videos, My God, YouTube and shit can be so disheartening, right? Because you got all these people with these dope ass like backgrounds and all this other shit, and it looks so nice and it just feels inadequate and you feel like shit, and it's like, nah, that's not true. That's the internet for you. What are you gonna do? So guess you could ignore the fuck out of it and keep it moving, you know what I mean? Do what you feel is cool, necessary, etc. Yeah. Okay, so I know I fell off a little bit on making sure we do this every time we start, but again, I'm going to go ahead and read a instant healing prayer. Close your eyes. Take a second to breathe. Say it in your head. Say it out loud. Say it with me. I am in control. I am one with God. I am the only authority in my life. I am divinely protected by the light of my being. I close off my aura and body of light to the lower astrals of mind, levels of mind. I now open to the spiritual world. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amine. Amine. Again, no matter what you believe, no matter what you are, no matter if you're polka dotted, blue, orange, white, yellow, brown, whatever you are, you're welcome in this space. It's a safe space for all of us here, okay? All right, I got this little timekeeper sand thing to remind me that, yes, although I do have the gift of gab, I need to shut the fuck up sometimes. Okay? So today, forgive me, I'm probably going to be reading on my screen for a lot of this, so bear with me now. But yeah, today I want to talk about a healthy ego versus ego, right? Now, I know when people think of ego, there's a lot of negative connotation when it comes toward it. And you may start thinking of the Kanyes and the Drakes of this world, things of that nature, at least in my opinion, my perspective. But ego is not always a bad thing. It just gets a bad rap, and understandably so. I mean, egotism, I feel, can be closely associated with narcissism and being selfish and things of that nature. So, when people talk about having an ego versus a healthy ego, I really don't feel they understand the distinction between the two, okay? A healthy ego is more self-serving, unhealthy ego is more self-serving, manipulative, secretive, hard to trusting, things of that nature. A healthy ego is self-regulated. It embraces imperfection and growth. It's able to take constructive criticism, not just criticism, constructive criticism, and be able to apply that in their life after that. Signs of a trauma-driven ego, which I wanted to go over first. So signs of a trauma-driven ego would be things like overreaction to criticism, like I just said. They take criticism very personally. They take it very offensively. They feel they have to feel they have to defend themselves because they're being attacked in some way, or they perceive themselves as being attacked in some way, even if the criticism is constructive. Whoa, that was a lot. Another sign of a trauma-driven ego would be a need for constant validation, constantly and frequently seeking external approval or reassurance to feel worthy or validated. But I just need to know. I need to know other podcasters. I know they probably go through some similar shit, like trying to get their setup right, because this should be driving me crazy. Anyway, yeah, a need for constant validation, a fear of vulnerability. You avoid sharing your true emotions, weaknesses, or needs for fear of being judged or rejected. You build walls around yourself using control, manipulation, or avoidance to protect against potential emotional pain. Perfectionism and control are very much parallels to doing a robot, an unhealthy ego and a trauma-driven ego. Okay, you feel the need to control every aspect because when you were younger and you're being traumatized, you realize that the only way that you were able to have control over anything or seemingly had control over anything was to control the situation, control the outcome, control. Yeah. And then perfectionism would drive you at that point, and any deviation from that standard feels like a personal failure to you. So failures you end up taking a little bit more heavy, and you don't really know necessarily how to recover from that. And not that we all intuitively know how to recover from certain scenarios when it involves our ego, but it is very much a trauma-driven response to completely shut down when it comes to perfectionism. And if you don't get something right according to your Sebi's perfectionist ways, Sebi is subconscious, by the way, Subby, whatever you want to call it. Another trauma-driven ego thing would be emotional reactivity. Small triggers may lead to intense emotional reaction, anger, anxiety, or shutting down, often out of proportion to the situation. You may find it difficult to regulate your emotions and feel overwhelmed by unresolved feelings from past experiences. Okay, and now this I would like to relate to, anyone who attempted to keep an ex in their life that just literally did way more harm than they did good, or did not contribute anything positive in the life. Like, the situation in of itself wasn't that bad, but like just the shit that happened in between was probably way too much. It was probably ego driven on both sides because, again, a lot of our relationships, a lot of our encounters can be mirrors, they don't have to be, they can be mirrors to what we need to fix within ourselves, or heal within ourselves, and things of that nature. So, if somebody is holding things in, suppressing everything because they're afraid of being rejected by the person they want to let them know their feelings, it's gonna end in TNT. Okay, it's gonna end in an explosion on the other party. Then the other person who maybe was like brushing off those feelings of that other person is gonna be like, well, what did I do to deserve this? They're gonna ultimately make it about themselves again if it's an ego-driven relationship on both ends, with both parties trying to be manipulative emotionally, mentally, all the things. And unhealthy egos, they don't really mesh too well. Okay, especially if it comes to two people. And again, I really don't like using the term narcissist, but when you have an unhealthy ego or trauma-driven ego, narcissism tends to be a very big blend in that mixture. Okay. And a trauma-driven response, again, especially when it comes to emotional reactivity or things you think about or know to be true in your perspective of things, is a very black and white thinking. Okay, you see situations and people in extremes, like all good or all bad, and struggle with nuances in everyday life. And if someone disappoints or hurt you, you could quickly withdraw, cut them off, or be or unable to reconcile the imperfection, right? So you're constantly nitpicking. Again, that perfectionism really comes in at that point. You're constantly nitpicking at what the person is doing right, what they're doing wrong. Instead of expressing these things to the people, you keep them inside, and it's like a little tally you're keeping in your head. And in my opinion, I'm getting exhausted thinking about it. for real. But, it's like a tally of what they did perfect versus what they're doing wrong. And usually that column, especially when it comes to romantic relationships and trauma-driven ego people, usually that column of what they're doing wrong outweighs the things they did right. But that, again, that goes with the black and white thinking of all good, all bad. This got to be my favorite. This got to be my favorite trauma-driven ego one. Inability to admit fault. Bang, bang. Mic drop. So when mistakes happen, your trauma ego may push you to deflect, blame, rationalize, become defensive, or make excuses rather than own your responsibility. Okay? I find interpersonal relationships interesting in that way because, more often than not, I run into people who don't want to take fault for the role they play and the choices they make in their day-to-day lives. And again, I'm not here to bash society. I'm not here to play some perfect little angel game with you. You know what I mean? We all have our days. We all have our ways. Okay? And, our inability to admit fault, it doesn't leave us cloaking our vulnerability. It doesn't leave us not being less vulnerable when it comes to certain situations. Really, it just hinders us from being able to grow as an individual and as a person and as a healing individual, period, across the board. Okay? And yeah, I mean, inability to admit fault, it stunts your growth. It stunts your growth because you have to realize somewhere along the line, like, where your role in all of your life plays. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, obviously when we were kids, we were traumatized, et cetera, but we also weren't old enough to choose at that point, right? Like, I feel like people listening in now, they're probably well on their way to knowing better, doing better, choosing different. Yeah, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you know what I mean? Hit me up, Instagram, whatever. But yeah, so admitting fault feels like a direct threat to your sense of self, so you avoid it at all costs. And I find more and more, just like dating in this era, is like everyone is so afraid to lose their autonomy, and I understand that. Like, I get it. I was not. I don't want to say trapped. I chose to stay trapped in a relationship for a long time where I lost my autonomy. He told me what to say, told me what to do, told me what to wear, told me who I could hang out with, told me who I couldn't hang out, blah, blah, blah. I was very young then, very impressionable. And, if you listen to any of my other podcast episodes, probably will know that I didn't really grow up in a loving environment. So I was constantly seeking that outside validation, that outside love, outside of myself and outside of what I knew it to be, and then the love I was shown looked very similar to the relationships I was in and the relationships I would entertain there and after. And it was not love. It was the version of love I knew to be true, but it's not the version of love that I know now. And I know it was a version of love that I didn't necessarily deserve, in any aspect, in any retrospect. But, again, we live and we learn, we keep it moving. So another way our unhealthy ego could play a role in our lives, my bad, I lost my train of thought, would be fear of abandonment. You have an underlying fear that others will leave or reject you, even in relationships where no such signs are present. This can lead to clinginess, emotional outbursts, or testing people to see if they'll abandon you. This is my least favorite mechanism of unhealthy egos. Like, don't test me. Bitch, don't test me. Like, because if you think I'm a sink or swim, bitch, I'm a swim. Like, no, ain't no sink, swim, drown. We're not doing that. Like, when the real holds you down, you're supposed to drown. Okay, so I don't appreciate shit like that, right? Like people testing my character, testing me to see who I am. Bitch, I am who I say I am. And I am who I show up as every fucking day. Authentically, maybe not the same version of me as yesterday or an hour ago or 2 minutes ago, but I am still me every fucking day that I show up. Okay? And I'd say sorry for the cursing, but I don't give a fuck. Yeah, so fear of abandonment, and like the crazier part about the fear of abandonment in any trauma situation is like your fear of abandonment becomes such a reality when you constantly pick at it and poke at it and just think that you're going to be abandoned, think that they're going to leave me, I'm going to leave them before they leave me, I'm going to be perfectionist about this because I want them to feel the pain of the pain they haven't caused me yet. And it's like, what? And fear of abandonment, the emotional outburst with fear of abandonment is insane, bruh. But again, fear of abandonment and fear of rejection very much are like a cohesive and blanketed thing that coexist together, right? Like one does not come without the other. They're like pigs in a blanket in that way. I think is where I was trying to go with that. I'm very tired. But yeah. So the fear of abandonment and fear of rejection go hand in hand because obviously you're afraid or you have a fear of being rejected in whatever fashion that may be. Maybe you were vulnerable with people back in the day and they did this at this point and you're still focused on this for this reason, that reason. But you know, as cliche as it is and as corny as it may sound, but forgiving other people truly is not for them. It is for your motherfucking self. You know, it is to set yourself free, your soul free, your mind free, all that there, because you know, if you don't forgive people that caused whatever shit in your it again. And you know, the church I used to go to, the pastor used to say all the time, forgiving someone does not okay, like solidify and okay like what they did. It doesn't mean like, oh yeah, what they did was fine, it's all good. Like obviously they caused some pain and trauma in your life, but you know, it's fine, just sweep it under the rug. That doesn't mean that we can take that experience, apply it in such a way that, you know, it then transforms into a healthy ego. Like, you know, that's when our fight or flight is like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I remember experiencing this before. And instead of assuming that it's going to be the same way and turn out the same way it did before, that's when you get inquisitive. That's when you start asking questions, and not to interrogate, but simply to gain knowledge, because that is literally the only way you can gain knowledge in a non-accusatory way and still get the information you want, still be satisfied in such a way that like you no longer have that fear. You no longer are like, oh, okay, yeah, like this doesn't feel as similar as it did before. Like I feel better about the questions I asked and the situation now. So, you know, that's to me, in my opinion, that's just a healthy way to approach things, is like with an inquisitive mind, not an assumptive mind. Is assumptive a word? Assumptive. I don't know, assumptive. It sounds like a dance move or something. Anyway, so yeah, that plays into the role of like being hyper vigilant and distrust in other people and experiences that you're going around. Like you're constantly on guard, expecting that others may hurt you, betray you, or reject you, which may cause you to push more people away or become overly controlling. Even well-intended actions by others may be interpreted through the lens of suspicion. And you know how many Karens I've had call me suspicious in my day? A lot. And it's stupid. But, you know, I guess, you know, what you'd have to ask yourself is, to what point am I going to allow this person's actions to be suspicious to me? To what point, in what extent, if you're the other person being suspected, like how much testing are you willing to go through, right? Like how much testing are you willing to grow through, with that person? Do you feel that these person's suspicions are warranted. Are they not warranted? Are they from previous trauma that maybe they think that they're still experiencing or that is triggering them in some way? Again, get inquisitive, ask the damn questions. Comparisons and envy, obviously, when we're coming from like an unhealthy ego mindset, we start comparing ourselves to other people. Welcome to the age of social media, because that's all that happens nowadays. And I read something the other day, is like at the low levels, that's where competition happens. At the higher levels, we're collaborating. And I fucks with that, because I don't want to compete with anyone. I just want to collab with people, right? Like I want to grow in that way. Like if you don't want to collab with me, you don't want to create with me, we don't have to do that. You know what I mean? It's not a requirement. No, if I put it out there, you put it out there, and we both like have no ego involved in it, cool. But like there's a lot of that, like, oh, I have more followers than you. Oh, I'm gonna have my name on this, so I have more followers, and it's just gonna make you pop or shine in whatever way. Right, let people shine how they may. If they end up outshining you, and there's no outshine. Like, bro, the sun covers the whole world. Like, relax. Like, there's definitely enough shine and light in this world for everyone to get their own shine in whatever way. And I don't even give a fuck about like music artistically, anything like that. Like getting on, like whatever, bro. Like I've been around that shit. It's cool. Obviously, if you have longevity, that's dope. Like good for you. But truly, I make music now because that's just what I feel. You know what I mean? In my soul. I put it out there just to put it out there. I don't know. Not to say I don't have any end goal with this shit, but I just do it because it makes me happy. Like, and if other people want to make music with me or collab with me, like I'm totally open to that. And if one of the songs or whatever creation we end up making ends up getting put out there and ends up becoming like a dope ass hit, so be it. Like that's, I guess, just what happens with the real. That shit's gonna prevail regardless of who's saying no or who's saying whatever the fuck. Like, what? Come on now. So yeah, manipulative or controlling behavior. Unhealthy egos may use manipulation or control to keep people or situations in line with what feels safe or predictable, fearing that things will spiral out of control otherwise. This could include passive aggressive behavior, guilt tripping, or emotional manipulation to maintain a sense of security. What? Oh my God. Like the guilt tripping and the emotional manipulation, honestly, that should be driving me crazy. And I'm like solely thinking about like familial like holiday things that everyone's always guilt tripping you. Oh, it's a holiday, you have to celebrate, we've always celebrated. It's like, bitch, I don't want to celebrate this shit anymore. Like, no, I'm good. If I don't want to celebrate it, I don't fucking have to. Like, yeah, I'll come, but don't make me feel guilty for coming here, only staying like an hour or two and then dipping. Like my time isn't valuable, and like that 2 hours wasn't worth shit. You know what I mean? Like it never seems like enough, especially around holidays. Like, oh, I just want to spend time. I understand, I get it. You want to spend time, but motherfucker, I need my peace. Okay, yeah, and period. Dot. Fear of intimacy. Deep connections might feel too risky because you fear being exposed or getting hurt, so you keep people at arm's length emotionally. This can show up as avoiding meaningful conversations, distancing yourself in moments of closeness, or sabotaging relationships before they get too deep. Lord have mercy. Okay. It's crazy to me because a lot of the people that I end up interacting with, it just seems like some type of pattern or tendency for people to get triggered by my energy or to get triggered by my questions that I have about, I've never been like a surface level person. Like I'm always deep, trying to go deeper. Pause, no diddy, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, like I can't do surface level. I don't do the chit chat well. Like no time for chits and or chats. I don't do small talk well. Like I can do small talk well, but why? Like I don't, like, bitch, let me see your soul. That's how I feel. Like, expose your soul to me, and then I'll know who you truly are. But, usually I don't need my eyes to see that who you are and what your intentions are for real. You know, sometimes it takes a little fighting between my healthy ego and my ego. It's like Drake and Kanye arguing. I don't know who would be the healthy ego in that scenario. I don't know why I keep using them as 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 like examples either. Probably stupid shit. But yeah. So signs of a healthy ego are self-awareness and reflection, balanced self-esteem, resilience to setbacks, openness to feedback, comfort with vulnerability, healthy boundaries, empathy and compassion, non-defensive behavior, healthy assertiveness, independence with interdependence. And you can maintain your individuality while being a part of relationships and communities. You don't rely on others to define your self-worth, but appreciate and nurture healthy connections. Okay? And I feel like being comfortable with vulnerability obviously comes with a risk. And like, I've just found that it's easier to say the honest thing or do the vulnerable thing rather than not do it and be riddled with like guilt or wonder or questions or what have you, whatever feelings come with that. And expressing my emotions and my needs is like something I'm very new at, and not new at, but I'm more healed on now than I was a few years ago. Okay, I mean, I fucking hope so. Jeez Louise. But expressing your needs is can be a I don't even want to say vulnerable. I mean, it is a vulnerable place to be in, but it's also one of those things where it's like, if you were never allowed to express your needs, or like your needs were not heard and first and forefront and put right there, not, I don't even say on a pedestal, but yeah, just like put above like your parents, let's just say your caregivers, whoever took care of you when you were younger, their needs came before yours. Obviously that creates like a whole people pleaser mentality, and it doesn't allow you to even think about your needs. I have a post-it right here. It says, when's the last time you checked in on yourself? Because that's just who I obviously want to care about the people I care about, but like, bitch, if I don't care about me, who's gonna care about me? You know what I mean? If I don't show me the love, who's gonna show me the love? My dog's gone, R.I.P., love my baby girl. But like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I have people around me to show me love or whatever whenever I need it, but it's like, I want to be that source. You know what I'm saying? Because my fountain is forever going. It's forever continuous. I will always be the fountain I'm with, I guess, is how I want to phrase that. I am the fountain of love that I desire in others and in situations. And the more I express my needs and like what I not expect of a situation, but what I need from a situation, the more free I feel. You know what I mean? Like, I just had to tell someone the other day, like, you know what I mean? If you want to treat me like a person, then treat me like a person. Like, you can talk to me and get to know me still, and like, but that's what I need. Like, you can't just like randomly talk to me when you feel like it, and then like when you don't feel like it, you're just not talking. Like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, at least check in on me, like when I'm texting you type shit, I don't know. It's just one of those things. But healthy boundaries can be very difficult to stick with, just because, again, like if unhealthy ego is all you've known, or like people stepping over those boundaries after you set them is all you've known, it can be a very hard line to draw, and a difficult line to draw. But that's at the point where you need to decide, is this person respecting my boundaries? If not, okay, what's the next step? And do they really have a purpose and point in my life currently? And what is that purpose? And are they respecting where I'm coming from as a person and as someone who is attempting a recovering people pleaser and a recovering trauma ego addict? Like, these are just things I think about daily. And so how you would balance both, like your healthy ego and your trauma ego, would be, well, for one, acknowledge and accept your trauma ego. 2, develop self-awareness and emotional intelligence. 3, cultivate a healthy ego. 4, heal trauma at the root. 5, practice self-regulation techniques. 6, practice healthy vulnerability. 7, embrace imperfection and growth. 8, build resilient relationships. 9, integrate the shadow. 10, practice self-compassion and forgiveness. And number 10 is going to repetitively be the one that you need to focus on. Practicing self-compassion, practicing self-forgiveness over and over and over and over again. Because in order to release those past traumas and those past ties and those past hurts, and not even release to forget, but release to let yourself free, you have to forgive yourself for allowing that behavior in your life, for allowing those people to do those things to you, regardless of your age, regardless of if you deserved it. You more than likely didn't, but yeah, just reiterating that. You have to forgive yourself for not knowing better and for knowing better now and recognizing the pattern, recognizing what it looks like, and then putting an end to it with your boundaries. And if those people do not respect your boundaries, they do not respect what you're saying to them, you either need to have a deeper talk with them and so they can understand at their level of understandings, or they need to be cut from your life. And I'm not saying you got to be mean about it. I'm not saying that like you have to cut off all communication, but like more than likely, yeah, like you don't obviously don't be mean to them, but like you don't even have to explain yourself too. I just was listening to something earlier. It was like, I don't know why people feel the need to like explain their moves and their reasoning to people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I know that y'all don't do that shit driving or at the grocery store. So like, why do you feel the need to do it in real life? Explain your moves. Explain why you move the way you move. Explain why the move. It's just like you're explaining your moves for what reason. You know, there's no purpose behind it besides getting validated from other people who are probably still going to not understand or reject you in the first place. So it's like, I don't know. Beg for forgiveness, not for permission, or ask for forgiveness, not for permission. You know what I mean? But anyway, that is my short little spiel for y'all today. Okay. Just remember that through mindfulness, vulnerability, healthy boundaries, and inner work, you move from reacting out of old wounds to living with authenticity, compassion, and resilience. Okay? You are your own worst enemy. Just remember, but you are also the magician in your life. You're the creator of your reality. Okay? It's very important for you all to take that message away today, because it is so, so true. And I just want to give everyone a giant hug. And I pray everyone's okay today and they have a wonderful, wonderful week. Not sure when I'm going to drop this, probably tonight, maybe by Wednesday at least, the latest. But yeah, until the next time, my name's Kilo. Thanks for joining me. Peace.